That is not what the agreement says. After the award came out, that is what the government is saying that they intended to put in the agreement. It is not in the agreement. The agreement says that the amount attributable to the accommodation agreement should be subject to certain deductions. The first deduction is the Dunkeld attributed liabilities. Once that is taken out, then the balance is paid in Belize dollars into an account for the benefit of the Belizean people. However, what the agreement says first is that half of the amount, the total award, is to be paid to Dunkeld and to the Employees Trust. And therefore, the split is not between the amount in the accommodation agreement and the shares. The split is 50% of the total award, pay the first amount to Dunkeld and the Trust, and then you work out the balance with respect to the accommodation agreement. It's a bit complicated. The court criticized the drafting of the agreement, but the result of the understanding of the agreement, in our view, is that whatever is to be paid and to be used for the accommodation agreement and the trust for the people of Belize must come out of the second payment, not the first payment. And I think that the court seemed, I want to emphasize again, they didn't make a decision, but they seemed to be persuaded that that is so.
The court accepted that the agreement provided that the accommodation agreement portion of the value will go for the benefit of the people of Belize. So that was clearly, totally accepted by the court. The issue for the court is that there was a provision which said that payments would be made in 2 installments, and the first installment of 50% would be for the benefit of the claimant companies. As you gather, there was a false assumption all around. False assumption all around that the accommodation agreement value of the shares would have been less than the pure share value. It turns out that the Borough Administration was extremely wise in resisting all this while, agreeing to pay the accommodation agreement and in stretching out this litigation so that the compromise which was reached was that the accommodation agreement value would go for the benefit of the people of Belize. So the one little issue we have here, is not that. The one little issue we have here is that the assumption was that the pure share value would have been 60-40. That the value of the shares would have been 60% of the total compensation, and the value of the accommodation agreement would have been 40%. It turns out that it went almost completely the other way. The value of the accommodation agreement portion of the shares was, I think, something like 70%, and the pure share value was like 30%. So when they agreed that 50% of whatever the compensation was would be paid upfront, that assumed that the pure share value would have been greater than 50%. It was less. So that's why we are here.